First one closed.
We close in Sona balance. I'm not sure the more page in you say. Huh? It's okay, we can.
So one or more pages.
Yeah, what? Okay. And then page 2, we memo. Page 3, we memo the bottom 2. The first one has been dealt with. Page 4, we memo the top table and the middle table. Bottom table has been dealt with.
Excuse me, Chair.
Well, how do we know? Let's go.
Page 4, we memo the top table and the middle table. The bottom table has been dealt with. And then from page 4 to 4, 5, 6, 7, dealt with.
Accountant General? Anything between 4 and 8? That's fine.
Page 6. Page 6, item number 9. It's cleared. We can close it. Oh, okay. So at page 8, we monitor the first one. The rest are dealt with. And then page 10 to the last page, they are dealt with. Done with the memo.
Done with the memo. We go to the Auditor General's response. Response to the Auditor General.
Let's start on page 1. We memo. Both. Page 2, we memo. Page 3, the revenues. So,
Page 3.
3 key revenue.
Revenues.
Yes.
Page 3.
Monitor.
Honorable members.
Page 4, we monitor. 5, we monitor. 6, monitor. 7, we monitor. 8, we monitor. 9, we monitor. 10, we monitor. 11 is just a summary. Then we get to the development fund.
Okay. That is page?
Page 12.
Page 12. Development fund. Honorable members, anything there? Always very important to.
The main expenditure here was the population housing census.
Honorable members, page 12. Population and housing census.
Assess statistics again. Botswana.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, it's for 36 Botswana.
Okay, I thought you need to transfer to trust statistics.
Okay.
Page 13, we monitor. And by the way, this table I present you according to the guidelines.
Which table?
Your near expenditure.
Noted, Chair. Will improve.
Page 14, we monitor. 15, we monitor. Then we go to statement 3, the expenditure. We monitor. Page 17, we monitor. 18, we monitor. 19, we monitor. 20, we monitor. Then we go to statement 8, investments made from special funds. Ke yone di outstanding loans tsa bo BMC, Botswana Postal Services that Botswana rescheduled. BPS last installment was 2024, and then BCL in Ali. Maybe we could start with BCL. In Ali, that outstanding amount there, 900 million. At we kopanya ya advance na ya 600 million. In your response, you had stated for not 16 million, yeah, advance here, yeah, 211 million. In your response, you had said for you near 200, it'll offset the purchase, the BCL houses. And the question is, where's the rest of the money going to come from? And then let's only these houses are decided to rekilwe.
Thank you, ma'am. We are aware of this outstanding debt, loan that was extended to BCL to that amount. And as we all know, the collapse of BCL, that happened while this debt was still outstanding. And we had said, because this is a debt that has to be repaid. But the reality is that BCL is not in a position to repay because the company has since stopped production. So we were approached by the Ministry of Energy, Minerals and Energy, acknowledging the outstanding debt and made a proposal, since we are unable to pay back the loan, why don't we enter into a swap deal? Government gets the houses plus a piece of land, a small farm, in exchange for this. As you have noted there, in our response we said, having acknowledged that getting this money back is almost close to impossible, let's accept this property as suggested by the ministry. And the ministry undertook to do another evaluation, or what do you call it? Not evaluation. Check up price, valuation, not evaluation, valuation of the property to get the true cost of this property and see to what extent it will offset the outstanding loan. So if it falls short of this, then it's upon government through the means of finance to determine what to do with the loan. From where I sit, this is where a write-off becomes the only option available. We have to accept worry.
There are no prospects for recovery.
BCL? No, I don't see any prospect. No. Unless if an investor would come in and say, I want to buy this business and also assume the liabilities. But is it highly likely that we might get an investor who comes in and say, I want to buy BCL with everything, the debts and everything. But from where we sit now, we said, instead of agitating for payment of this loan, when we know that the money is not available, go BCL. Why don't we accept this? Because this is just government taking money from one pocket, putting into another pocket. So that was our consideration. That we think was the best option given the circumstances.
But Pierce, the issue with leaks, your statement is worrisome. Should we expect the same response when we have to deal with the loans, or the loan guarantees, BMC, postal, this or that?
No.
We talk about closing the leak itself. Can you speak to the other ones, maybe differently from the BCL?
Those are still surviving entities. We cannot compare them with an entity that is no longer in existence. So BMC and others, there's still room to resuscitate them. There's still room to turn them around with a proper turnaround strategy. There are still prospects that they could repay the loan. But BCL, we are talking about an entity that does not exist anymore.
So what do you do in the case of BMC, which you have written to them and they have not responded just yet?
We'll continue following up. I'm comforted by the fact that recently there was an announcement that they have a deal with the DRC to start selling beef there. That's one amongst many things that they will do to resuscitate their business. We'll follow them up and see where it ends up. But surely, Honorable, BMC and BCL, they are not at the same stage. BCL is no more. What are the prospects of recovery money from BCL? But the prospects of recovery money from BMC, they are still there. They might be very small, but they're still there. They will help, as undertaken by even the President himself, that we want to turn the BMC around. We shall remain hopeful that the BMC will turn its business around and be able to repay the loan. We'll see what happens going forward.
Do you really want to write off now, or the BCL is a subject of a Presidential Commission of Inquiry? Maybe something could come out of it, and that would change the thinking right now?
No,
Just to add to what he said, kind of this, my dear BCL, no go tile go tla recover from liquidate.
yes.
Because we had asked before, do I give a company a wang madi? And then we got the recover from liquidator.
No, that's why we said even the letter that we sent to in response to when we were responding to the offer, we said once the swap deal has concluded, the remaining balance, the liquidator should try and pay from whatever they can raise out of selling anything that belongs to BCL. As to whether it's a write-off now, it's a decision that we cannot make now. But once these properties have been valued, we know the true cost or price of this, we offset, and we see what is remaining in the balance. And the liquidator, once they has concluded the process, we'll see whether there is anything that we can salvage from whatever they may have gotten out of BCL.
My comment was made in respect of the BCL being a subject of an inquiry.
Yes.
Well, how do you know the results of that inquiry before it is done? And maybe we let it go, and then after that, that is when we can ponder on the write-off. I'm not thinking of anything now that may come out, but I'm saying because it's a subject of a presidential inquiry, maybe some issues may be discovered or uncovered by the process that is ongoing.
That's true, but the swap deal, we thought it should not wait for that inquiry, because the liquidator was saying, by the way, let me trace back a little bit. Government, by the way, had undertaken to purchase the houses from BCL. So we were simply facilitating that undertaking that was made, was it last year or 2 years ago, that government will buy these houses. So the inquiry will go on, but the swap deal will continue. As to how then we close that balance that will remain after everything has been closed down, including the inquiry that is ongoing, then we'll see what to do.
Okay. I think we can move, except that did you get your answer in respect to the other BMC?
Not really.
I was.
I mean, like for instance, I mean, in the response here, they're expecting one entity to start paying in December. But before then, there were promises made and broken. So what guarantees do you have in place that from December 2025, this entity would be in a position to repay?
You know, if we were dealing with an entity other than an entity that is owned by government, we could say, let's take this entity to court, close it down, wind up, and they pay us. But at the back of our minds, we know that we are dealing with an entity that's owned by government. We are dealing with an entity that has created jobs for Botswana. So that's why maybe we are a bit lenient when it comes to that. When my son or daughter has wronged me, I'll not be as harsh as you are not even-handed, but that's the true state of affairs. We are dealing with an entity that's owned by government, wholly supported by government. And how press or repay me? They come through Mr. of Agriculture to say, Motsadi, Ronale Matata, Rutushe Kamadiho. And Motsadi will know hore. So it's a delicate situation. We are dealing with an entity that is a creation of government, wholly supported by government.
What are the entities that was during war? What you learn about mismanage? I have a Lemosadio, you isolating a Tarago when a Vaitura Mutsadio now Tarakanyes. So that could be a possibility in the way they conduct business. Right, is either Halo, no guarantee, Mira, it's rapport loan at the grade, duel at this guarantee, or will it I have a lie, convert you into a loan and ultimately when away Pimura. Could that be the attitude that also now end up causing this collapse?
No, not at all. We are committed, as indicated, we are committed to turning these entities around. This is what has happened. Going forward, what do? Do we continue Rebanenekeza? No. We help them turn their businesses around. We help them to survive, to stand on their own, knowing that the years of 100% dependence on government, those years are over. The strategy has to change. It cannot be business as usual, as we indicated earlier in the morning. Yes.
Yeah, you know, I get worried because earlier on, more pakeling ha even though you are the custodians of public finances, in terms of making sure that these entities turn around and begin to churn some profits, you say the board is there, the structures are there, and then you detach. And when you do that, that is a recipe for collapse as well. The infrastructure in place, the body thing, the employee how do you make sure that they deliver on the mandate? Would you now say you also have some arrangement where you monitor the progress they record on an ongoing basis?
Obviously, this BMC is a parastatal under the Ministry of Agriculture. And we don't detach. We have to look at reasons why some of these parastatals are not performing as they should. And we made a statement in the budget speech that in order for these entities to turn around their businesses, one, we ought to set a clear mandate. That's one. Two, give them that operational autonomy so that when we come in to check the performance, we are able to hold the executive and the board accountable. We don't want to find ourselves in a situation where it's like now, on a day-to-day basis, we are involved in the running of these entities. We cannot play the role of a referee and a player at the same time. So the reason why some of these entities, is not only in Botswana and even in Africa or developing countries, there tends to be a lot of political interference. And I'm not saying I have evidence to suggest that, but the studies have been conducted. So that's why we committed in the budget speech that we should give these entities operational autonomy so that we hold them accountable. How do you hold them accountable? through audits, through looking at the financials, audited financial statements, financial accounts, so that we come in and say, why did you not perform? Why did you not achieve your mandate? So that's the accountability that we have.
Sorry to interrupt, but entities like BMC have been autonomous. And the reason why we are bringing the issue of now paying a little attention to what is happening than just releasing money. Because many of these are autonomous.
Yes.
And do you even get to see the audited reports? We are told Air Botswana has been operating for 4 years and there's not been an audit. So this is why we are saying, in your prudence financial management, can you pay a little more attention to these entities which are autonomous and yet they lose money? And this is public funds,
Yes.
which should be going into benefiting Botswana out there in terms of developments and creation of employment.
Yeah, further to that, really. Earlier on, you talked about not intending to micromanage some of these entities. But this BMC and others are clear candidates for micromanagement, at least at the beginning. That they should be micromanaged so that they get their act together. That's when you can now say, okay, maybe they can crawl to some profits of sorts. So I get very worried when you say you want to give them autonomy and you want to only look at the audits and other things. I think the audits will reveal that, like others before them, they will not perform. But yes, maybe political interference. How are you going to stop that one?
Honorable, I don't think you should be worried. We have systems in place. For example, these entities, they present their audited reports, audited accounts to their respective ministries, who are then required to lay these audited financial reports or statements before the National Assembly, for the National Assembly to also interrogate and see whether these entities are performing as expected. That's one measure that is in place to ensure that there is accountability. Two, when they come to us, they approach us for, in addition to the reports that we'll be getting from the parent ministries, when they come to us for financial support, we ask them to account. And we also ask them to provide a turnaround strategy. We did the same with Air Botswana recently. When they came to us, they approached us for financial support. We engaged. We said, you have to work on a turnaround strategy because the days of continuously supporting your entity, Kamadi, those days are over. So they provided a turnaround strategy which was then taken to cabinet. I think they were returned to go and beef it up. So those are the measures that are in place to try and assist these entities to turn around their businesses.
Just the last one on this. Kana bone bana ba balona o kilo has ka isa ngwana ene ngwana yo itseng gore wa phampariwa kana go tsoti ha ba tla go golona go mpieno e le gore le ha se le sela ka kadimo ba tla go golona ba re le ba hemadi bo ba ra gore le re le go ba dimela ka rona lena puso ene ga ena madi
sone se reng ha ba tla go rona we lay bare the state of the public finances to say, there you are. You have to go and turn around your own business. Make sure that you can stand on your own. So, oka pampara ngwana, yes, I used the word pampara. Megana ngwana mo pampara up to a certain age. Thereafter, ngwana is na 21. Ya be se le moholo. Of course, bo BMC ya ke ba holo bone ka gore ke bana ba sa bolo go sola bogolo. We need to do something, and we agree. And I'm happy that even the president recently did make a statement that before year-end, entities like BMC and Air Botswana would have to turn around their businesses. This is in realization of the fact that they cannot continue to depend on government for financial support.
Chairman.
Honorable?
I think earlier on, Honorable Proholo made reference to your mandate. You know, our prudence, Jan Momadina government. My understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's a good ministry in Kawaharlohana, Lonali Minister of Finance, Lenali kind of an officer. You level in financial and high road them good ministry. Gana that person will then have to be or expected to be informing you directly or ministering this is the situation with regards to government. So my question is, are someone go each and every ministry willingly lona in one or the other?
We have finance officers. We have finance officers at E2 level, sorry, D1, to advise on financial matters. But here we are talking about entities like Bo BMC, entities like Bo Ewuzwan. By Lengore, the finance officers are not involved in the day-to-day running of those entities. Secondly, we are talking about entities that are failing to perform as per their set mandate. The key question for me would be, why are these entities not performing? Then it is on the basis of that understanding that we could come up with a strategy or with an answer. I did talk about what we have observed so far in the morning, that we have realized that some of these entities have been operating, some in excess of 5 years without fully constituted boards, some without substantive CEOs. That's a recipe for disaster. That's something that we need to correct, and we're working at correcting those.
Mekana Chairman, Kahutla Accounting Officer. But if you take Zone BMC, Libo Airbotonagari Kemetse Kanosi, but still they belong to the respective ministries. BMC, obviously, Ministry of Agriculture. So, Arakerare. It's a mile of 5 years. I listen about the BMC. We must be looking at your ministry. Your situation in Sealo. It is relaying. So let's have a situation where the buck stops with somebody. Hoska Nahela in limbo. Horinagana BMC Dilejana. Ebozone Drayana. Vekari delivered to her. So that we have a situation where really the buck stops with somebody, and when things are not going right, that particular person or that particular officer is taken to task.
But let's be mindful of the fact that the parastatals would have an engagement with the statutory bodies committee, and it will go into some detail on these matters. Not that we don't have interest, we have particular interest, but we know that they will also appear in their own right and they will have to be engaged. You can answer.
Yes, Nekorongwe one to say chairman or
Yeah, you could. We have interest, but still they are going to be engaged. And if you get detached, well, let's open the link person or the link office that gets them working. BMC, railways, but like we're saying, they will be interrogated by another committee. Yeah.
Fair point, fair observation. Yes, the issue of being detached, point taken. And again, I wish to say that by calling the minister responsible to present these financials, audited financials, before the National Assembly is to give the National Assembly members to take the minister responsible to task and ask those pointed questions as to what do you intend doing for that institution. We have to avoid, even though we provide this guidance on prudent financial management, we don't want to find ourselves causing a situation where we are seen to be interfering too much. BMC, and then the PS Minister of Agriculture or the Minister responsible for agriculture will talk to the PS or finance or but we'll find a way of interacting with this and giving giving advice. For a little Minister of Agriculture, you have this entity that is not performing. What are you doing about it? So that we are not seen to be interfering with the running of other ministries.
Yeah, but you see, for me, your detached professionalism is the very recipe for the collapse of these entities. We're not what's a hella for Bata Chalagor Lepilescent. Also, home, Badira, the Harloganimba, little bodies that attend, and little Coludale, le management, and they loot public finances. Come so all the Muslim, so let's impact Yalas. So, how Taquan, Madia Angatiamo. GIA was like 700 million. So, but it's okay. Like, we don't have to dwell on this one. We don't have to overindulge because there's another committee of parliament responsible for statutory bodies. I think we can proceed.
On page 22, most statement 12. Most statement 12, we have these two balances. There's the BCL Sysmin re-employment and the Sysmin support grant Lome. These are balances that didn't send anything. I mean, I even checked, I saw one state ASILIA 2017 to see where this, it could even be beyond. It was in this movie here. The other one, we had a little movement, but since 2020, it's the and then you have also indicated in your response that the amounts will be utilized on future projects. In the previous report, I point out the MOU. The funds should be spent by 2019. Maybe if you could tell the committee or what were these grants for? And why have they not been used?
Thank you, Chair. With regards to BCL Sysmin, I'll touch on the both of them. But unfortunately, Chair, maybe I need to hasten to indicate that I did not bring where the project was coming from, but I'll explain why it is still under Statement 12 for these balances are unspent. When this memorandum of agreements are put up, they indicate what projects will be run under that the grant or the loan that is disbursed here, and thereafter there will be a condition which states what should happen to the fund when the project is complete. One of the conditions for the BCL Sysmin was that we need to open a separate bank account. They didn't want this money to be in the bank account of government. But instead, due to some errors that occurred in our office, officers who were processing this disbursements from these loans spent it from the Domestic Development Fund. And as we talk, Chair, this money is sitting at Bank of Botswana where the account was opened. So we'll submit proof to this effect. With regards to when they started, I seek your indulgences so that we should submit when the project started. Thank you. Maybe to finish that, we are reconciling all the projects that have been run.
And then the utilization in future projects? That's what's written here.
Thank you very much. I was saying because the memorandum of understanding or agreement is the one that is going to assist us. But one of the... Yes, no, I've already touched on that one, that there is an agreement that is ongoing with the European Union. So we'll submit that to indicate which other projects are going to be utilized through these funds. Thank you.
Through Chair. Through you, Chair.
Yes, yes, go ahead, sir.
Hey, I think I heard somewhere for this particular fund, the agreement was that you should use it by 2019. Is that true? Or my data answers by 2019, but Lona Local in the future. Can that be true?
I was trying to engage with the Secretary Budget. Like I said, Chair, if you allow us, let me bring the memorandum of understanding so that we can answer those questions that are being asked now. Because when I mislead the committee by giving you the wrong dates. The memorandum of understanding. Thank you.
Perhaps Attorney General, the Auditor General, might
Auditor General also.
Okay. Auditor General, you have anything to say here? Okay, let's move.
Let's go to page 23. 23. Okay. And then there we have the retention. The Tlanke missile. Let's monitor. We clear the number 2 and number 3. The rest are monitor. Page 24, we close the first one. Rest are monitor. Page 25, we close 11. Rest are monitor. Page 26, we close 17. The rest are monitor. 27, we close 20 and 22. The rest are monitor. Then the text, we monitor the top table, close the middle table, monitor. We monitor the bottom table. $29, it's monitor. We clear 5 and 6 on the bottom table, the rest is monitor.
Excuse me, Chair. The first one is closed. Oh, no, sorry. It's okay.
Okay. And then 15. This one here, DBS. You've indicated where you are exploring alternatives. Maybe if you could explain what those alternatives are.
This is to do with accounting matters, how you account for certain things. If this was dealt with by just the economists, we would have long closed this matter. Because it reads like government owes somebody something. But that's not the case. The background to this was that at some point, I don't remember the exact year, shareholders were called upon to inject some capital into Debswana, because Debswana was facing some financial difficulties. And these contributions were based on the shareholding for Anglo America, and ours was 15%. Or is 15% shareholding. So the amount that was calculated for the government of Botswana in, say, it was 1 billion? It was 1 billion. With the view that once we sold some shares for Anglo America, that is the money that will go into inject capital into DBS. But I understand at the time the Minister of Finance then wrote to the Bank of Botswana to say, can you please transfer 1 billion pula from the GRA, government remittance account, and pay what you are supposed to pay as capital injection. That was done. But when the 1 billion came from Anglo-America, it appears as revenue. And then the spending this side, when you take money out of the GRA to pay something, the accountants are saying this money was not budgeted for. Therefore, in the accounts, it has to reflect there was a budget for it. Now, the way to correct this, I understand, the accountants will correct me, is to provide a budget, even though you know that you're not owing anybody. You have to have a budget. To say, in the budget, we have 673 million that we put aside for this undertaking. And the issue there of budget deficit and exploring some alternatives arises from here. The alternatives, we said, if in our budget, by the end of the year, we have some savings, we can then take that money and put aside as a budget for this item so that we close the matter. But unfortunately, we have been experiencing problems in generating those savings. That's where we are today, even when we say exploring some alternatives. Can we realize some savings somewhere? Can we get a windfall somewhere so that we budget for this, even though we know it's just a book entry, but the accountants are saying there ought to be a budget, so that we correct the entries in the books of accounts.
You know, the reason I was asking was that I don't know what there's no other alternative. So that's why I was wondering which other alternative is there, except what you've been describing. But the general will monitor. Except
that's the alternative ways of finding money to allocate for this.
Or maybe I didn't read it okay, because the way your response was. But anyway, Auditor General will monitor.
Auditor General?
The funds are already paid.
Like you were saying, it's a book entry. And for them to clear this, they have to go and look for a budget.
So we need to have an actual cash.
Yes.
Okay.
Otherwise, there's no other way. That's why I was asking them, they need to go and look for a budget. That's why I was asking them, there's no other way, and we have an alternative, which one? But Auditor General will monitor. Can we?
Alternative ways of raising funds to budget for this as required.
Yeah, let's go on. Yeah, BCL, we've already talked about BCL, so let's go to page 31. Clear the top table. Bottom table, we clear the first three. And we monitor the rest.
Did you talk? Sorry.
Even though
The first one on page 31.
yes, we cleared it. This smaller polole, I think I don't understand this. Page number 4, on where the ministry has engaged an expert to assess the break-in.
Page
Page 31.
Page 31.
The Molapolole account.
Thank you, Chair. Molapole break-in occurred in 2018. Keta confirm check the dates and what we are saying here is break-in in a report case ko mapodisi ba leka go batisa gore ke o mbaka tswang ba dirile molatono And then we were advised that we need to seek a security expert. Yo ka go lebella tota sente gore ka go thuileng ka teng a ne go thua magodu a professional ke ta dirisa locally for lack of a better one. Kana yan, this is where we are yan ministry laws no ba engage. The recent case go Attorney General because they wanted a report that can assist them gore batho ba bone gore case e ka follow you ka ne ka tswala. This is what we are talking about. Thank you.
Okay, let's move on. Unless somebody has
Okay, what I can say
wait
is,
a minute.
sorry, they've since sent a document seeking legal advice as to the way forward regarding the engagement of security systems. But and then advice DIS to do that. We are working on the opinion. I don't want to jump the gun to say we are working on the legal advice. Yeah, the way forward.
Honorable.
Some years ago.
2018?
I think even the police I think what they wanted to find out was there was not an inside job. Yeah, they're supposed to remit the money periodically. But which has remit. And my police were trying to look for it. I mean, there was no involved with it. But I think Hava's what I said.
Well, the lady said 300.
That's 300,000.
Justice delay is justice denied. And we won't say 1 year later. Why do we take too long to attend to matters of this? Consultancy. 1 2 1 2.
You had made your point.
Good Chairman. Let them hear. We are talking of very high figures, but 387,000 pula. The break in 2018, I think 2018. And why does it take rather too long for matters of this nature? They attend you, they arrest you. Currently, Nahela Luana accounting officer, how to be 6 years ago. How we go on now to Rinya, my police ba sets a kanya temole morago. Carobus people to Wanyala, Labamba, Trokahala. King it's Albacali Kanakana for 6-7 years.
That one is a very difficult question for us to answer because Rona immediately house Nanahu Tubiwa. We immediately reported to the police as expected as to why the police have taken this long to conclude the investigations. I don't think I'm qualified enough or in a position to respond to that. Maybe the Attorney General could assist us as to the legal process around this, or is it normal for an investigation of this nature to take this long or not? We are still investigating. Or there could be any other intervention that we could take the case away from the police and assign it to somebody else that I don't know. Let me maybe request, with your permission, for advice from the Attorney General. It's more policing here.
What is worrying is there is a discernible pattern. Breaking, I mean, a few weeks ago, we're dealing with another who Francis Town, Leone, once a Helena, a Kakayala, his over our immodi booking Hela for purposes Hela or Honora or Todaqua in South during Saturday. And my dear Kimagala Chiril, and Nakaga Warakati, and me and Okanaki and a Kanya. Tota go dilwale madia governmente like and madia mantse go le kae tota but they go about doing their work really ga se ga ba tshwenye re thata ka gongwe ila gago a ila go ita tola ka lebinga ka tswana le o ka ba tsena go tsona but ha ile a puso a tota thelwe go di mutha
my issue here would be, okay, investigations depending on complexity at all. But kana in this era of forensics, body camera, who kana botswana samperle ko morago ya la go thubiwa ga gona o boning. If they cannot lift the fingerprints, it's about to bow. It really becomes very difficult even for the police. Because canvassing on deletes. But if thieves disappear into thin air and was sent up or under back upon a cutting, hey, it's really, really, really difficult.
I mean, in this matter, internally, when the police ame internally gone bone le patane le kgonne gore le tse bone ba ba amegang go ba botsolosa go ka ha ebile mo gore ne ba tshwantseng ke ba ntse ba remita mme ba sa dire jalo ke ra re ka le phatalone a le dirile sengwe despite the fact that ile ko mapodising.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, the ministry did take action for the officers because, like I was saying, we acted very promptly on this one. The officers that were there at the time, who is the Treasury cashier, as to why they did not meet because the cash holding limits, and I think at the time their cash holding limits was 300,000. Because in essence there is a cash tatana kwa the check. So because apparently the alarm was on. The reason why a security company or an expert is that there was no fault in the alarm. So in short, Chair, action was taken against officers.
They were warned.
We won't say because by it was similar. Like I said, there is a cash holding limit. At the time it was 300,000. Where we are now, who could say cash holding limit given that the electronic funds transfer lead checker has to delete the mail at the time. Never one hore babele madi ane ba sa tshwano beke ba bele at the time. Hore beke ba himile se.
Chairman, kore an inside job in a in a very systematic way. Kore bona re gompieko yana madi happens to be there, and then alamo batho ba tsena ya lela me ga e supi ko go bonekwa kana inside job go twa ha o motho a le gone ko aba buisana. I don't know the alarm system company, so I'm not after any. Kore motho a le mo teng mo e le motsholamadi aba bua le bone ba alarm system company gore a ba dumala. Why would on that particular day batho ba go thuba e be lela ba ba kwa ba rena ga ra utlwa?
Chair, if you allow me, I don't think I can respond to this one because honestly, I don't know what happened on that day. So we're relying on the officers. And this is why we say we reported the matter to the police. Was there any collusion, whatever foul play between our officers and the officers, Boneba security,
On after 7 years, I think the only thing we can do maybe is to express frustration, like Honorable Monaka is expressing frustration. We tell her do mission to convenient to the hell and the Lord Madia and let's me. I want to pay her away to so I think we are generally expressing concern that government money is lost. Highly the prospect of getting this money or even recovering it from anyone, I think the prospects are quite very dim. Yeah, we can go ahead.
Yeah. Page 32. We memo the first three, close 9 and 10. The other one is dealt with. Page 33, we clear 13. Memo the rest. 34, we close 17 and 20. The rest are memos. 35.
22.
Excuse me?
22 and 24.
Madam.
On page 34.
Let's go back to page 34.
22. Okay.
For us, it's 17, 20, 22, and 24 to close.
22 in Senala balance. Oh, okay. It's cleared. 24. It's cleared. AG, unalisema ka hukunzi. AGC. Hukunzi. Number 22 on page 34.
It's closed, ma'am.
21. It's cleared. No, kera 21. 21 we should. Everything. We should.
On this one.
Okay. Let's go to 35. We clear the first one, memo the rest. This one is Abu BC. Page 36, we clear the top table, memo the bottom. 37, we clear the number.
36, we close the last one. Yeah, Isaac.
Okay. 37, we close one, memo 2 and 3, and memo the bottom table. We clear the top, memo the next two.
Naki, you lost the yana. Back to page 32. The 510 item number 11. The 505,000. I got dealt with at paragraph 33 of page 68.
Go ra go fitlhela ko page 68.
Anyway,
Let's go to ke a bokae? Ke a mang?
to do a revenue office account.
Yes. It teng ko page 68. Me ba re ba e clearile. Ke yone le reng le clearile. Eh.
Oh, okay.
Le mo page mang? 38. Okay. 39, we close the bottom one, memo the rest. And 40, we close 5 and 12 and 13, and we memo the rest. Which one?
The page mark.
Now is number 7.
Let me check.
Page 40, number 7, Luetompo, awaiting response from Attorney General.
The deputy sheriff attempted to execute a writ, or we applied for a writ to attach in October 2024. And then, however, he indicated that the debtor had no property. The deputy sheriff is to conduct a search for the debtor's immovable and provide a report on the matter. When you, after applying for a writ, I will apply the movables. If we don't find anything, we then have to go back and apply for immovables. We are at that stage. It's a large sum of money, 43,000. No one in Aikila 500 pula, according to this report.
Okay.
41, we close the first one, we memo the next two.
Number 16, I don't understand the figures. The balance is 38, 34,000 has been deducted from her payment areas, leaving balance of 3755. King, was it an error or she has paid to leave the balance of 3.7? Number 16.
Thank you, Chair. Millicent, who deducted only by UIDC band areas, which was recovered, where we recovered 34,840, leaving a balance of 3,000. This was only done June 2025. This is where resides all I say. Thank you.
Then 42 we memo, and 43 up to 67. Statements of cash and bank balances. Lots of issues study reconciliation. Auditor General, any comments?
You comment, Auditor General, issues of reconciliation.
But have dominated our engagement today.
Thank you. I think Nugget like comment on page 68.
Yeah, you can go on and comment.
Thank you. We've noted Horika between 2003 and 68 page.
Okay, there's nothing on statement. Okay, to 64.
64, no.
Yes.
From 68.
But like through you, Mr. Chair,
Sir?
like you rightfully said, I mean, reconciliation was very much a topic of discussion, and there seemed not to have been some reconciliation on these. Can the accounting officer just appraise? This page 46 to 67, reconciliation. What is the? Is this as a result of failure on the part your system, or what?
Thank you, Chair. Like you said, Honorable Paul, the issues of reconciliation, the challenges that they vary from human intervention, like the AG said in the morning, reconciliation is done on a daily basis. But when it comes to this one, the bank reconciliations is done on a monthly basis. Receive the statements from various banks. So most of the balances that you see uncleared here, they date as far back as 2004, which was the data take on. How can go 22, 23, and there's some improvement because one, there has been some online banking for most of the banks. So we get our statements on a daily basis. So this is what we are doing now. They've been phased out, yes, but we're still engaging with the banks. So once in a while we get a few of these, and then these are the ones we use. Then secondly, on the issue system, this in August 2023 when the system was done because the reconciliation stalled totally because there was no access to the system to reconcile.
And then,
as a matter of bringing closure to some of these things, are we likely to encounter the same statement or line? Will be taken back to 2004. When are we going to move forward and away from having to hold back to things that there's no guarantee that at any point in time? What is the way forward?
Thank you, Chair. Way forward, we tried, we made an effort to meet with the Auditor General, what is it that we can do, more especially in relation to those certificates and take on balances. Our meeting was not fruitful because there was an issue of what if there has been some fraudulent activities. So this is why we keep on reconcile information, more especially with regards to documentation. But we'll keep on engaging the Auditor General.
Thank you. We move.
okay, they go all over up to page 64. And then statement 17 is on the contingent liabilities, it's a loan guarantee. You'll see from 65 up to 66. It's on the loan guarantees. If you don't have any question, we'll go on. And then page 67. Yeah, tautona. Well, I suppose the post is tautona le debt participation capital fund.
That participation capital fund, ke yone go tla yo ko.
Yalo book e rekisitsweng ya.
Yes.
Ya no le tsone tse go morago ga ela gore what ra gore ke issue e ntseng e nang le teng he.
What is the explanation? That
That is,
participation capital fund?
addressing the matter.
No, addressing the matter cannot suffice. We want to know how the matter is being addressed. Just a line say addressing the matter is not helpful.
Thank you, Chair. Once again, we appreciate the fact that we are addressing the matter. The reason why we are saying we are addressing the matter is because we met with the Auditor General some 2-3 years ago. How do we bring this into the books of accounts? And this is why we are saying we are addressing the matter. Auditor General. But where we are now, there is a department that deals solely with the debts, and a list of the loan is in a deal with the special purpose vehicle. So those loans are the ones that will now assist us. Generally, will give them this proof. These are the loans it's in a debt capital funding, and these are the ones that are remaining. How can we go about it so that we can bring into the books of accounts or that company Illinois with a value being attached to according to the law 626. So we are yet to meet with Auditor General.
You engaged Auditor General about 2 years ago.
But what were the points of departure that led to that particular action?
Thank you, Chair. The point of departure was that our belief as ministry was that the debt participation capital fund limited if for me as a special purpose vehicle. So Auditor General's stand was that the loans you could have recorded them because you were selling them out. So as a group, they were grouped to be that's why this company was formed. And as we talk, a company it's a company that is registered with SEPA. So this is why we need to engage further on.
Thank you.
The question was, statements of assets held by government in commercial undertakings.
Yes, Chair. This is why I'm saying we need to establish if indeed it's a company that should be captured under Statements 18. Before we can capture it here, we need to get an understanding on how do we bring it into the books of accounts as an asset that will be held in the statutory bodies.
I guess my word would be that there doesn't seem to be any intensity in terms of the engagement. Unless you promise us that next time around we will have concluded the matter.
Chair, it's unfortunate for Auditor General the ones that are here are new. So we'll commit by end of month, is it okay?
No, we'll do it before we finalize the 2023 report.
That's good.
Before you finalize the report that you're working on right now?
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, that's fine. I think we're drawing to a close.
Then let's go to page 68. Okay, Auditor General.
Thank you, Chair. We've noted the systematic fraud. The first one was in between 2003 to 2006. And again, after 10 years in 2016, there is another systematic fraud here, 8 million. So I wanted probably the accounting officer to share with us what controls are in place to ensure this reoccurrence. Yeah, I miss you because when we do reconciliations, we do them as a control to capture fraud or error before enough follow back. So because they said they are doing reconciliations daily and monthly or periodically, and it seems they are not working, what controls have they put in place to ensure that this does not reoccur? Thank you.
Thank you. One of the controls that we have put in place, like it's a systematic fraud, 8 million. This was a legitimate process that this officer, and Idira, at the level that she was employed at. In Elana authorized a Kobe. So what we did is we've now elevated the approval level to senior management. Approving all the voided payments before they can be done. That's one of the things we have done. Secondly, I talked earlier about now having online banking statements on a daily basis now. The banks, would we have that access? We don't need to wait for the bank to give us the bank statements on a month or at month end. We have it on daily. So there is a team we have put in place in every branch that we have, and here at headquarters, but we're doing a reconciliation unit. So these are the people now, it's headed at a high level, where these people now on a daily basis, the transaction is any. Purpose during the course of the year. So those are the main two controls that we've put in place over and above the system. You recall, in August 2023, we had a glitch here, the gaps. This is where we lost a lot of ground in terms of managing these reconciliations. But we are now back again in track. We've gone back to attend to the backlog. Thank you.
Follow-up question, yes?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This Medicare 2016, and you're 8 million. This is a lot. Ministry floated tender to identify a forensic auditor which failed, and now they have, in 2025, after 9 years, they have now taken the matter to Attorney General Chambers. What is between 2016 and 2025? Thank you.
Chair, as a ministry, we acted promptly on this case when it happened, 2016. In 2017, Officer Ranahela dismissed you. That was the administrative part. In parallel, in a report case, police, and also to the Attorney General, there are two cases that are currently running. I can already the case with the civil matter and the criminal. They are running concurrently. But the civil matter, the fact that the person who was chairing the disciplinary hearing in audit, so then they didn't take our report. And then AGC advised that we need to go for a forensic report. This is why we kept on trying to get a forensic auditor because so the bids were not successful at all. And then in Attorney General, the right up to Attorney General was just a follow-up to say, where are we with regards to the civil case and both the criminal? So it's all Attorney General law, but it's a case that we've been on it for as long as it started.
As we speak, the case is before the courts, and it was protracted because we didn't have the necessary documents like the forensic audited report, which would have formed the basis for us launching a legal process. However, we gathered what we could. As we speak, trial, similar she was disputing everything. Unlike many of these civil cases, this person is disputing the sum being claimed, 8 million and all that. But the trial is continuing on the 3rd and 4th of September this year, finally. That's all I can report for now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Linai.
Page.
Wait. May the AG shed some light on the matter of Okotlas on page 68. Where Calvin. Yes.
When we filed
Sure.
the court process around March 2020, the defendant, being Tusuitsile, did not file anything in response. We managed to get what we call a default judgment against him in the sum of 235,000. He then Harere Retsari Tira Tacha Harai Kelana Lesepe. He came to us abare, okay, you kopore kiduele both 3,000 kgwedi le kgwedi. He failed. Yeah, no. No, we are still following on him. Kadi deputy sheriff. The problem with these kinds of debts is and you don't find anything. Like I said it last time, the last option would have been civil imprisonment, but the judges are reluctant, or a person is not unwilling to pay, but unable to pay because of lack of resources.
Yeah, me? Oh, great. Page 69.
Okay. Page 68. To make you nobody's again or memorable. It's clear and written off, in fact. Let's go to page 69. We monitor. And then page 70. Auditor General, Utlankemis.
Sorry, page 70. Yeah, paragraph, or the last two sentences, more page 70, yeah, consultant 2 and 3. Agree, there were overpayments to the consultants, and for both instances, they've requested for a refund. And this was in 2022, remember this report. And now, at 2025, after 3 years, what is the status? Thank you. Thank you.
No, correct me if I'm wrong. We are talking about this, but we are looking at the audited accounts at 2021-22, right? Yeah, which were conducted recently. So this is a new finding. It's not like it's a finding that happened in 2022. Therefore, it's a new finding. That's what we are following up with the Ministry of Infrastructure, those that were monitoring and implementing this project. Hence why we are saying, as per our engagement with them, they said they have since notified the consultant of these overpayments. So we'll get feedback on how their engagements with the consultants ended.
Is it not for the 2022?
Should be. Auditor General, can you guide, because you actually did the auditing?
Yes, actually, we are discussing the report for 2021-22.
Yes. So when was this finding made?
2021-22.
County officer. County officer.
Thank you, sir. Let me supplement my peers. The report is for 21-22, we admit. And what the PS is saying is, we engaged with the Ministry of Infrastructure, projects. So as we engage with them, hela lately, recently, the consultants badly batata go claim madi a bone, because this was because they were not in agreement with the overpay. This is where the main problem was.
And when were you notified? Is it last week? Yeah. To the extent that gompieno ke gone le ka go checkang sample ba emetse.
Or is that a case of attending to PAC matters on the eve of a PAC examination? It could be that.
No, sir. We take PAC seriously and we do it on a daily basis. Mr. Chair. It's only that some of the things that we deal with other ministries, some delays. Yeah, no, this is why I was saying just recently, last week, we did another follow-up and we got the response that the consultants are not in agreement with overpay. And all the documentation that led to the overpayments. So may I request kindly, Chair, reported through your advisor.
Okay, that's fine.
You. For now, we'll memo it. That 8-party consultancy one. Page 71, Auditor General,
Auditor General, 71.
Sorry, page 71, the last paragraph 43. We had noted a wasteful expenditure. Following a consultant was engaged and was paid 581 to make a design. Yeah, project. Yeah, Charles Hill, Treasury cashier. And has noticed that design, it was not used. A different design. Just as sometimes other departments. Maybe they could share with us what was the challenge here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you have seen the addendum. Replace it, page in an attempt to respond to the Auditor General's comments. We agree there was a change in the design from the 2 revenue offices that we are talking about. That even led to a change of scope. Initially, the agreed design was that of was it Charles Law? Ke kopa thuso ke ska ka taka ka dia le dile tharuna ko ile one. Thank you, Chair. So the approved design was that of Charles Hill Revenue. So across all the offices, the Accountant General, Treasury offices, across Botswana, Charles Hill, Lebo, Shakawe, and Gumar. No, Gumar office. And unfortunately, it had to be scaled down. So various consultants were contacted for different net, and then this led to an over expenditure of 5 million, which we agree with. Yeah, no, what we are saying now is the consultants they should abandon the design ya ntha ya ka ke wile and start on a new design e nyenyane le gore e tla leta madi a ne re na le one, because this was considered to be an oversized and costly building. So that in short hela this was a retroactive procurement. E leng gore ne ra hela re kopile ko accounting officer gore a re approval because we realize gore the designs ne di se ka ha ne re plan ka tempele. So that's why where we are ka project one auditor general.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
okay, it's monitor. Page 72. AG. Are you okay? And then, if there's no question of the last report at PC, we will issue a COVID relief fund. COVID relief fund. In the for the COVID relief fund, they're gonna balance then. Well, the balance here, the accounts was like 666 million. Approximately 666 million. But then the question was, Ghana, with COVID now declared or it's no longer a public emergency. You know what's going to happen to the funds? And the recommendation was, by the committee, the to set up an emergency fund. A national emergency fund. To cover everything, including public health emergencies and what. With the phase over, then what's going to happen to the balance?
County officer, you have earlier on referred to the matter.
Yes.
What I can recall now, a whole day of discussion, is that you said this was just money written on paper.
Currently.
It's not on paper.
And we said we are currently conducting a review of all the special funds. To answer questions, sorry, are these special funds still relevant? If not relevant, what do we do with them? If, for example, we come to the conclusion that COVID-19, I nearly said HIV/AIDS, COVID-19 is no longer a public scourge or a pandemic, but there are balances left in the funds. What do we do with the funds? That is a decision to be made, but I did indicate again that in the withdrawal rules, the Minister of Finance has the powers to withdraw the funds, to use the funds on other projects of national interest. But I cannot preempt at this moment, say definitively, if we decide to close a special fund,
But do you have the money? Is this money saved somewhere?
Book entry, like we said. Let's say a fund in only 1 million, and we use 500,000. If we remove the 500,000, even though in the coffers we don't have the funds, Mehala indicates that this fund was allocated 1 million.
Yeah.
Therefore, funds permitting, we should be able to see this 500 million in there. We cannot simply ignore that and say, because the Auditor General will come and say, but at the time that we were closing this, you said there was a balance of 500 million. Where did it go? We have to say, no, if we close this 500 million balance will be diverted to whatever expenditure. Then the books will be balanced. So here is about the book entry versus the funding itself.
But with specific reference to this one,
Yes.
I recall you indicated something like 132 million was put aside.
Yes.
Is that what you said?
I said in order to build up these special funds, as and when the little that trickles through, we receive it, we decided to small build up this special fund so that should there be a need to use the special funds, at least there's money.
Yeah, but this COVID fund was for a specific purpose.
Yes.
Yes, it was for relief funding, control and prevention and treatment of the disease and after effects. And then it was declared, the emergency phase was officially declared over.
Sorry?
The emergency phase was officially declared over. Yeah, no, the expectation was there shouldn't be any more disbursements from this fund.
I think I've responded to this question to say we are conducting a review. Yes, we might be not seeing some funds, but this review will inform us on the way forward. I don't think at this stage I can tell you definitely hence the reason why we are conducting this review, so that whatever decision that we take is a well-informed one. Not an accounting officer wake up in the morning and say, no, COVID is no longer an issue, somebody else is a wicked. We'll conduct a review, present it to the minister, because these funds, special funds, are established through an order of parliament, right? Statutory instrument. It goes back to parliament. And the members of parliament will be able to interrogate what I mean.
The special fund had in the fund order issue or the transfer. I think it's quite very evident that the minister power he tells him over the special funds. And to that extent, draw more in the name of national interest and hakits, you know, that's my story about special funds.
Subject and when these things are presented before Parliament and endorsed by Parliament, we implement. Therefore, I hope that the day that we present this through our minister, we can maybe cause change in the law to say, the minister, you seem to have lots of powers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that is the way to go, to amend the legislation to reduce the powers of the minister in respect to the use of special funds. And I've heard before that there's going to be a review of the Public Finance Management Act. Is that something that you are doing? Okay. We shall make our views known as and when it is the time to do so. Your ministry is very key to obviously the development of this country. We have heard how bad we are doing insofar as the economy is concerned. Our diamonds, which we have depended on for several years, are not enjoying the best of times in terms of being sold overseas. A luxury product, you said. Now we have to contend with a situation where we don't have sufficient money as a country, and we would depend for some time on borrowing. So it is a very difficult situation we find ourselves in. But I am not very sure whether the psyche of the nation has captured this in terms of the extent of the problem. Re spenda hela jaaka re ka kgona puso le yone ya spenda ra bona gore ya spenda puso ya promisa mme gape ya gona madi. These are very interesting times in our country, and we bank on you. We bank on you professionals to give guidance. You cannot direct your principals the form of politicians. But you can give your expert view. If it's disregarded, really there's very little you can do. So I think in the coming weeks and months, we are likely to see some measures put in place that will indicate that, yes, indeed, we are going through a lean period. Remote business as usually, but thank you for your time, and you really have struggled and at times to explain this and that, but I think you lended yourself to clarity in many aspects of the examination, and personally I'm happy with that, but I'm worried about the economy or the direction the economy is taking.
Thank you, Chair.
le rona re teng re ka simola thulaganyo ya rona ya letsatsi re simolole go itsana. Nna ke bidiwa Taolo Boipuso Lucas, ke mopalamente wa Bobirwa, modulasetulo wa Public Accounts Committee. Honorable members.
Lameche Victor Palolo, Kanye West.
Honorable Kgonerile. Yes.
Gore tse ke kgonegile Maung East.
Sam Dirwa, Aboteti West.
Palelo Mutausani, Tamaga Pumakwan constituency.
Uncle Shima Munaching, Lepula South.
AGs?
Kabolina Attorney General.
Sorry.
Afternoon. Kibiduan Dula Mohubona from Ministry of Finance, Office in Accountant General.
Naki Vidua Kidibonyi Mochotli from Office of the Accountant General.
Naki Vidua Seno Hausikelwe, Office of the Auditor General.
Naleti Moduma, Attorney General.
Amanda Mulifi, Technical Advisor to the PEC.
Hello, Auditor General.
Good afternoon. My name is Janet Mahana from the Office of the Auditor General. Thank you.
Hello. County Officer.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair. My name is Nelson Toto, Accounting Officer for Ministry of Higher Education. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Chair. My name is Hodira One Makwati, Chief Accountant.
Thank you very much. I guess we will know others as we go along. Before we may take an oath, I think you have some issues to share with us, because what we have received from yourselves is the executive summary, but there are no books of accounts. And maybe we just want to hear from you what the issues are. I am familiar with parts of the issues through my interaction with basic education and staff of Parliament, but I guess it is in order that you explain to us really what the challenge is.
May they take the oath first.
Oh, okay. I'm advised by a lawyer next door that you do that under oath, so that we don't get ourselves into situations where, yeah. I think we should take oath as advised. Yes, accounting officer. With your left hand on the Bible and your right hand raised. Thank you very much. And you follow me. I,
Nelson Toto,
swear by Almighty God, that the evidence I shall give before this Committee of Parliament shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing else but the truth. So help me God. Thank you. Finance Director. I,
Hodira One Elias Makwati,
swear by Almighty God, that the evidence I shall give before this Committee of Parliament shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing else but the truth. So help me God. Thank you very much, sir. Aha. I guess I had attempted to ask you to explain to us why your books are incomplete. We only received the executive summary, and we don't have the books of accounts. So can you please, accounting officer, take us through your challenges?
Thank you, Chair. I think maybe the best point to start is the fact that we are a new ministry as the Minister of Higher Education. After the rationalization, we were constituted, but in terms of the officers that are responsible for the reporting and the issues relating to PAC, they are in the Ministry of Basic Education. We have not, as yet, received any handover of accounts from our colleagues from the Ministry of Basic Education. So, in fact, it presented a situation where, under the circumstances of being here under oath, we felt that we were not in a position to have the confidence of actually reporting to you without necessarily having a formal report having been presented to us by the accounting officer. We did try to explain that, and through my colleague who was acting, that we are facing a challenge. When I came back to the office, I was also given a report that what seemingly was effort towards really compiling this report did not meet the minimum requirements in terms of really gathering the information that could be presented under these circumstances. I think in a nutshell.
Have you engaged with your counterpart at Basic Education?
I've engaged with my counterpart at Basic Education.
You have engaged?
I've engaged with her.
And what was the outcome of the engagement?
The outcome of the engagement was simply through my acting peers, who in fact...
as accounting officer, you have not engaged her as an accounting officer so that you tried to resolve the matter?
I tried in vain, but we really were not able. In fact, the time that we've really had an extended conversation was today outside this building.
Today outside this office?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Because, I mean, all the other time that I was traveling, we were not able to get in touch. And it was an issue of us communicating through the acting accounting officer. And I think you probably have seen some of the communication that transpired between ourselves and Basic Education.
Yeah.
And I was the day before yesterday, on Friday, I was given the impression that we could submit the executive summary, given that the accounts were not available. So that's how we submitted the executive summary to yourselves.
Okay, I'm only interested in you and the other accounting officer, whether is it a case of non-cooperation, you guys not cooperating with one another, or is it just a case of not finding one another?
I wouldn't say we were not cooperating. I felt that we were able. I mean, I was able to talk to her through my acting colleague, and it is through that conversation that my understanding was that 2 officers were availed to facilitate the process, but it didn't really deliver to the expectations of my colleagues. And then they felt that really we could not, within the given time, be able to compile a report that we can come here and be able to defend.
Yeah, because the accounting officer, Basic Education, did deliver some information just after lunch, to say that yes, indeed, they did assist you. Maybe what lacks from your side is just the confidence to speak to the information contained. Otherwise, they're fine.
I've never seen that report, actually. Nothing was presented to me. One would expect that one accounting officer would hand over information of this level to another accounting officer. I've never seen it.
You have not seen it?
No.
Okay, there's something wrong. There's something seriously wrong with the relationship that obtains between you 2 accounting officers, because you should have met, at least he should have shown you these documents. But if you have never seen them, that's another issue for maybe another day. As we discussed your issue in your absence, we agreed that we are going to engage you on your executive summary, and we would want the books of account to be prepared as soon as it is possible. and we will furnish you with the dates for the interaction between ourselves and yourselves. So we will go ahead with the engagement on the executive summary. Is that a correct representation of what we agreed, or you have other thoughts?
Through Chair.
Yes.
I don't know. I thought maybe we felt very strongly, based on the information that we got from the other peers, that probably they are not they're running away from what they're supposed to do, because the concluding paragraph on this letter says, while my ministry went out to offer all the support mentioned above, I wish to bring it to the attention of the committee that the Permanent Secretary, Deputy Permanent Secretary, Finance Manager, Chief Financial Officer, safe to say the Chief Accountant, who are all critical to the production of the Public Accounts Report, were all there in the former Minister of Tertiary Education during the year under review, and are still there at this very moment, meaning that my assumption is that dealing with issues critical to the production of the risk report should not be a challenge, as the issues involved are not new to them. Maybe you can ask the officer whether this is true, whether those officers are still there at the ministry, and what is stopping them from producing the report if they were all there during that financial year.
I take the question as asked. Accounting officer.
I think the critical thing is that when there was rationalization of the ministries, when the Minister of Entrepreneurship was formed, the people who were responsible for PAC issues from Accountant General were all transferred to basic education. I think it was 8 of them. I think the 8 of them are still that side. So I don't understand the fact that one can assume that she was referring to me that I was at tertiary education, right? I mean, that was how many years ago? I've got no recollection of what was going on. I don't know where the books are. I mean, if I can come here and actually be under oath and I'm arguing over things that have happened over 3 years ago, I think it would be unreasonable unless if I've been given a detailed brief.
Chair, sorry.
Sorry.
Yes, no. Now I agree with you. Like, you know, this paragraph, it's okay as it reflects, but the question is, we only had the other side of the story.
Yeah.
And the PS here brought his story. So this is a question of who is telling the truth, who is not. And to me, I don't think we can take this as an information that we can rely on, unless we are making judgment of saying he is not telling the truth, that one is telling the truth. So if they were here, both of them, like we mentioned earlier, that other ministries, being Ministry of Infrastructure and, you know, they were here. Both permanent secretaries were here and the staff. So I think we should take the same route to be fair in our judgment as to if this is okay or not.
Okay. Kana gore yano akere yo leng hano enare le tsone di pampiri tse di tisitsweng tsa after lunch. Enare a se ke a di bone. I think the issue e tona ya go mpieno ke gona gore do we proceed? I had initially thought you were saying we're proceeding, but I'm hearing people asking questions instead of maybe speaking to
still,
we had agreed to proceed with the summary.
Yes.
Hey, but as for the books of accounts.
But still on that, Chairman. Kore ke utlwa Professor Toto, the accounting officer, ke a mo utlwa mme kona ke tsa gore a matter of this nature, serious as it is, to appear before the PAC. Gongwa ele gore the accounting officer on the other end, how rumile the acting PS, ebe ka re ga ba utlwane sentle, although no le konole thing. And I think you should have intervened. I talked to her through the acting PS. Because this is a matter of concern, really. Around the two ministries, and
then you conclude by saying?
Well, I conclude by saying, Kanarona, our work is only complete when all documents are before us. So they'll have to bring books of account.
Through Mr. Chair, now my take is that an executive summary, I could be wrong, should be a window that opens the book of accounts. Therefore, it should speak to the books and, of course, take us into the future. So you cannot, in my books rather, you cannot have an executive summary of something that you have not presented. So, notwithstanding the fact that Babu Asabasibuam, bottom line is the current PS is an accounting officer. So rather than dwell too much into omongare, bottom line is that we expect the accounting officer to prepare the books and come and account. So if we are to allow ourselves we may be setting ourselves for failure going forward. So perhaps what we can do, on us the reason why perhaps he was unable to meet with the other peers was because he was traveling. So let there be a different reason altogether to allow them to go and prepare than us getting involved or to come and account. Those who came, they gave perhaps good reason. We did not ask them to come together and account. So in this case, one PS is very clear or no, but were there and equipped to make the necessary preparation at the book.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Kidumalo arrange of our executive summary. Kana is a window to the books, right? And highly on a hella, we are incomplete. But that doesn't stop us from making the decision.
Totally, I wanted to say exactly what he has just presented. Maybe, I don't know, I wanted actually to ask for directions from the accountant and the Auditor General, whether they find it fit to discuss the executive summary without the books of accounts. Now, to me, they are all related. The other thing, I actually wanted to find out from the accounting officers, if these officers who are here and him, were they not part of this ministry? Are they new in this ministry? Because I can't see a ministry preparing the books of accounts without involving the other officers. This is done by those who come immediately after the accounting officers.
Okay.
They are prepared jointly. So do you mean that they don't understand how these things are prepared? I mean your staff.
Accounting officer, that is a question.
Thank you.
What about Aleboneba? Eboneha by just a PAC, Babasha.
One thing. I think they've already appeared from with other ministries. But normally, what the procedure and the protocol normally what we do as accounting officers is that because of the fact that we have gone through a rationalization means that departments are being moved from one ministry to the other. And normally what we do is that we would work together, and the accounting officer who has been hosting the particular department will be the one who leads. I've had some of my departments being presented here in my absence, but some of the officers who are here have actually been present in that situation. So normally that is the case. I think in this case, probably, I don't know whether it was miscommunication. I mean, just like I said to you that, I mean, for me, I'm surprised that she actually brought a document here, which I've not seen.
Yeah.
Who do you report to? I mean, as an accounting officer, who do you report to? And is that person aware of the challenges that you are facing now?
The Honourable Minister.
The one you are reporting to?
Yes. No, we've had that discussion. I've briefed him. He understands what has been going on. We've been together all the time, so he knows.
Who controls the accounting officers? I'm not talking of a political figure.
You are referring to the PSP?
I think that's the ultimate person to actually assist you in addressing this issue.
But for me, I didn't see it as a conflict, I didn't see it at that level where I have to report her to the PSP or to take it to that level. I assume that we'll be able to go through this in the manner that ordinarily one would expect. And
would it be okay for us to register our consent to the PSP now that you are disappointing us? We came here expecting to get a report from you, and nothing is forthcoming.
Wait.
Because I had felt you yourself will go to him or her and inform him about the challenges that you have. I agree, I have painted you. When you have challenges, that's the first person to report to.
Honorable members, na kulutu ke to karlare. Le ha ngore kile ra akanyetsa hore re ka tswella pele. Mme ya no ha sena go ta ha bua kganya gagwe. Hora gore we may have to give consideration gore o go leba dibuka tsa gagwe le batho ba gagwe. A di tse di complete. But evidently go leba gore gona le thoka tirisanyo mmogo between himself and the other accounting officer. And I think that is a matter I can highly think talk about the or our bio settler with the PSP. Is that what you're saying, sir? Yeah. Kiluta ke tela rialo. La go lebe sente gore gore ka tswalla pele ka executive summary, because executive summary opens a window to the books of accounts. They are connected. So I think that is what you're saying. Honorable Malusi, is that what you are saying?
That's correct. But they got the coupe opinion go the two ages. For me, your opinion here na lo na go di buka di leba or American presenter this executive summary was not the book.
I think the decision is ours.
Okay. I think we should bring the other guys whenever ready.
Huh?
Yeah, it's the same whenever ready.
What we buy research? How is he well? What I know where is Mr. Toto, Professor Toto.
Sir.
But to tell you, you are the accounting officer. You should produce the executive summary and the books of accounts. What I will present a deal more. If you have technical office, you sufficient notice. You can book as this just before lunch. You are not making progress with the other accounting officer. Then sort it out with the PSP. That is the direction that this meeting is taking. We still have a few others who had situations as well that we'll have to sort out, and that will mean we will give you a date in which we shall meet and engage your books.
That's fine.
Thank you very much.
Make a chairman we tlogela ile mo phefong. Soro gongwe as a kind of warning, not warning, but umogakola o ra fetsa ka Friday, and I believe
no, are you Friday?
Friday.
No. Tomorrow we are done.
Then possibly.
No, we will discuss that and see when we can meet them, because we are still to meet two others. We are still to meet the PSP, and we are still to meet Parliament.
Okay.
You remember Parliament came here, and there was the issue with the internet and stuff. Yeah, so maybe technical advisor. When do you think you can be ready to submit your books, Professor Toto?
I think, like I said, Honorable Chair, that one of the reasons why there was reluctance on our part was we needed to validate and see the information. I think we'll have a look at the information, and through the support of Accountant General, I think we can be able to give you a response. But we take the task seriously, and we want to do it as soon as we can.
Let me give you the date. Because if we take it that way, then it may take us a very long time. So, we are like Monday today. The coming Friday will pass. The other Friday they should bring the books. Yeah, it's 2 weeks essentially.
That's fine.
Bring the books in 2 weeks' time, and we shall.
Within 2 weeks.
Within 2 weeks. That is by. If they are ready tomorrow, that's fine. And that would mean you meet with your colleague in basic education so that she explains what this is. Something strange here is happening, but anyway, we shall give you the date in which we shall meet, because we also want to complete the report and present it to Parliament.
That's fine.
Professor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.